Alrighty guys, as it brings another Dragon Ball Legends ToP walkthrough regarding Season 44. So last season we actually ended off at rank 3,909. I actually think we kind of predicted that, right? Like when we got our final ranking and stuff like that at the end of the season, I kind of like assumed that we were going to drop into the low 3,000s or just into the top 4,000 just in general, right? But before we move on into the actual video itself, there will always be timestamps in the description down below. That way you guys can go ahead and get to where you guys need to go. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our path, and we have it laid out right here, right? There's not really room for error here usually, because last season I did include some alternative pathing a little bit, right? Just in case we needed to go ahead and land on a healing square, right? But I think this will be fine. I don't think this is a difficult path. There are some fights that we will be talking about, right? But also keep in mind, this is a loosely based route, just due to the fact if I get extremely low in some stages, then you will see me take on the easier fights and stuff like that. The circled fights are pretty much the only ones that remain unchanged. If you do have to deviate from the route, I would just advise staying true to the circled fights at the very least. Alright, so now let's go ahead and move on to tips and tricks, a GT stage. So this is actually the second fight that you do run into. I don't really have much to say about this one except for Ultra Omega Shenron. He will actually buff allies upon getting hit, and both the Ice Shenron and the Nova Shenron can mitigate one attack each, right? Ice Shenron can mitigate a strike card, and then Nova Shenron can mitigate either a strike or a blast. And I'm pretty sure Ice Shenron does stun you, right? So just be aware of those three units. So next we do have this God Key stage right here. I would go ahead and say take Beerus out first, since he will stun you at the start of turn 2, and then maybe go for Tapion if you can kill him in the same turn as well, since he will reduce one of your units' super gauge to 0, which can be annoying, right? Especially if you've, like, say you're like at 90% with the unit, you're trying to get your super attack during a fight, and Tapion randomly targets him, does his little ocarina, and then reduces that gauge down to 0. Typically, you will see me target VB pretty early on too, because he does have the small chance, I think it's a 30% chance to attack twice in one turn, and he always procs that on me. And then I do like to go for MUI last because he has a guaranteed dodge mechanic as well. We have this rival universe stage where I pretty much just always suggest Champa getting attacked first right here, or getting targeted first, because he does have a stun that will activate at the start of turn 2, and I do like going for hit last since he does counter your initial strike or blast with his own green card. Next we have Sagas from the movie. So this is a stage we frequently come across. It is a little bit frustrating because this purple God Goku will stun you at the very start of the fight, and there's nothing you can do about it. But Gogeta is the biggest target here, right? Because at the start of turn 3, he will get 100% to his special move gauge, and he will stun one of your units as well. So you have to make sure you do get him out of the way before turn 3. For this fight specifically, I do like to target the red Janemba, because once he is attacked with a blast card, he mitigates it, he counters it, and then stuns that specific unit as well. So next we have the Kaioken and Frieza stage. So Kaioken gets targeted first, otherwise he will launch a super attack on turn 2, and he has a high key restore speed, so that's always going to be an issue for you. And then Frieza, the full power Frieza, will only get his guaranteed super attack if a blast card is used against him. So typically I will attack him last, save him for last, or you can play it safe and just swap all your units to strike based for this fight only. And the way to do this is you go into your team formation, you click on the respective unit, like say I want this Kamikolo to go from blast to a strike, right? So I have him selected, you see the little blast icon right here next to his HP, you click on that, and then it will ask you choose your attack strategy. From there, you choose whether you want him to strike or whether you want him to blast. So we also have this Goku Black stage. Now, I would just say to try to avoid killing the red Zamasu until the end, since he does dish out a 30% debuff to damage received upon defeat. And then of course it wouldn't be ToP without the Kid Gohan stage. Kill Gohan first, and if you can, try to get Beerus before turn 2 because he does possess that stun. Gohan gets killed first, obviously, because if any of his allies die, that gives him 100% to his special move gauge, and he can get multiple super attacks in a fight. Alright, so now moving into our best teams, the first team we're going to go ahead and take a look at is the Ginyu Force on the right hand side of the screen. However, I don't know how I'm going to go ahead and place it since we do have a significantly bigger screen now, but we do have the rank 1 player, current rank 1 player, using the Ginyu Force, right? Only use this team if you're looking to rank high, because I've used this team in the past and honestly it was kind of squishy, even with me using Revival Frieza as a healer to get them through. And I would still run it like that. If you guys are insistent upon running the Ginyu Force, I would definitely go ahead and consider this man, even though he's only in B tier. So he's definitely going to put a damper on your points for sure, but just because of the fact that he does have at the end of turn Frieza Force or Lineage of Evil restores health by 2%, that is worth it alone. Or an alternative for Frieza can be Zaha, since he is a Z tier and he does act as a healer as well, right? At the end of the turn, allies in range restores health by 1% and 10% to damage inflicted. Obviously, he's not going to have as much synergy as the Blue Revival Frieza would. Alright, so next we have Saiyans with Pikkon and Zaha. Honestly, this team looks a lot more safe, more comfortable than the Ginyu Force team. This Pikkon, not only is this Pikkon Z tier, but it's because of the fact that he does get a guaranteed special move at the start of turn 3, right? And right alongside him, you do have this baby Vegeta who is in Z tier, who actually does have a pretty good Tournament of Power ability right here, where at the start of turn, multi-target inflicts all enemies with attribute downgraded plus 10% to blast damage received. And that is why you basically see a blast-based setup right here, right? With the Kaba, he's buffing the Vegeta characters, right? 20% to damage inflicted by tag rival universe or Vegeta in range for 1 turn, and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 20% to blast damage received. There's a lot of synergy going around right here, right? Because the Super Vegeta, he also is somewhat of a damage dealer, or like he's definitely one of your DPS units, because he gets 50% to special move gauge per fight right at the start of the 3rd turn, so he's going to be supering every other fight. And we already talked about Zaha right here, who does have the ability to heal his allies in range by 1% at the end of each turn, right? And it's an indiscriminate heal, doesn't matter what tag they belong to. I think this team is just going to be popular because there's so many options and so many replacements that you could possibly use right here. Like, I've already seen a lot of variations using this purple Turles right here, right? Because he does restore his own health by 5% at the start of the 2nd turn. He's going to be a Zenkai unit. He's going to have the Zenkai stats. I do see him being a good pick, especially since he's just Z tier, right? But S tier is definitely where it's at. You have a lot of good pickups. That's where a lot of these units reside in, right? Like the Super Vegeta, the Kaba, this Nappa, who does have board-wide debuffs as well. You can tell this is pretty much a debuff-based team right here, right? And if you really wanted to, you could even go into tier A to play it even more safe and get some more DPS going out right here with this Kaioken Goku, who is, again, if you do have him Zenkai, he will get a guaranteed super attack on turn 3 as well. But honestly, I still think the biggest takeaway here is Zaha being Z tier. Right, I do want to keep going ahead and talking about him being Z tier and being a healer. I think that's absolutely amazing. I think we're going to see him on a lot of teams for the season. Maybe not on the main rotation, but definitely as a backup unit to always have some sort of healer in the background. So next we have girls. This is a combination of Z tier and S tier units, right? Girls seems to be a pretty common option this season as well. No one too special here, but I would recommend running EX Kale as a healer at the very least to maintain your win streak bonus to the best of your ability, right? The guy on the right hand side right here, he's ranked 17, so he's doing phenomenal, but I always have to ask the question, since it's early on in the season, is he going to survive until the very end? I do like Kale a lot, and you don't have to dip too far down into the tiers. Her just providing those heals right there is just, I think it's good. Not only is she providing heals, but she's providing support for the tag girls. And of course, if you need a replacement for one of the purple girls, such as the 1000 Day Bulma, you can see on my team building that I do have Purple Mai instead, because she also does provide really good support right here to your entire board, right? 20% to strike damage inflicted for 1 turn for all allies, and at the end of the turn, plus 15% to damage inflicted in general. I also really like this Bunny Bulma's Z ability here for ToP specifically, right? You get 8% to special move gauge charge rate during battle. I think that's very valuable here, especially because you're probably going to see super attacks come out relatively quickly. Alright, so finally, the last team that we are going to be covering is Regeneration. This is the team that I'm going to be using. On the right hand side of the screen is a Regeneration team that I found on the board, which was incredibly rare, honestly, because I scrolled through like the first 1,000 slots or so, and I think this was the only Regeneration team that I currently saw right at the time of recording. And the thing about this is that in both teams right here, there's a variety of tiers being used. And if you guys are looking for someone to rank up in terms of friendship rank right now, I do suggest this EX Baby Vegeta right here, right? Because I have him at friendship rank 1. Hopefully I get it up to 5 before the first part of the walkthrough, but that is my current goal. If you guys are curious as to why Friendship Rank is important in this game mode specifically, we can take a look at my purple Janemba right here. You can see his Friendship Rank is at 10. That is ideal. That is optimal. That's where you want your ToP units to be at, right? Because we can look at his stats. One of the most important stats in this game mode is your key restore speed. So Janemba is sitting at 2,553, which is pretty good. If we look at his regular stats, it doesn't take Friendship Rank into consideration. It drops down to 2,432, and you'll see an increase in all of your stats for ToP with that Friendship Rank. So make sure you guys are doing your Let's Fight battles. You get 3 of them daily. And now for the final segment, we will be taking a look at the brand new unit. So let's take out Ultra Gogeta. I have a feeling his kit is going to be absolutely insane. So we'll go ahead and display it at max. The key restore speed is already really damn good, right? 2,570 easily will go up like 120. Maybe that actually hits 2,700. I'm not too sure. At Friendship Rank 10, I don't know. He does have a blue card and an ultimate ability right there, so the yellow tiles will be coming in handy. So let's take a look at these paragraphs that they give us for these ultra units. So at the start of the battle, 90% to damage inflicted, minus 20% to damage received, and plus 20% to key recovery. He really didn't need that. He really did not need that at all. 20% is insane. He nullifies attribute downgrades twice. At the start of the first turn, he multi-target 10% to own damage inflicted and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 5% to damage received. He's already great. Started the second turn, multi-target plus 10% to own damage inflicted, inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 10% to damage received for 1 turn. Debuffs are really good. Before receiving a strike or blast arts attack, health is 30% or lower. I don't really like the health restriction. He can perform a cover change for allies in range. And then before receiving a blast arts attack, he activates a counter and nullifies an attack activates once. This guy is going to be really annoying as an enemy. We are always going to try to avoid this guy. And at the start of the third turn, he activates special action, restores health by 2%, plus 15% to special move gauge, and upgrades it too, so he never needs the yellow tile at all. Now the ultra ability, oh my goodness. Start of the battle, allied tag fusion warrior, plus 5% to special move gauge. That's kind of broken, I think. Honestly, I thought it was per. At first, I thought it was per tag fusion warrior. That would have been absolutely insane, but that's still pretty damn good. Board wide, that's pretty damn good. And at the start of the battle, per allied tag fusion warrior for self, 5% to damage inflicted and 5% to key recovery. So key recovery is going to be insane. Damage inflicted is going to be really damn nice. And on receiving an attack against unfavorable element, he gets minus 20% to damage received. And that, yeah, he's pretty cracked. He's pretty broken, I would say. So now let's go to take a look at the free-to-play Broly, and my goodness, that art is beautiful. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at display maximum. The stats right here, ToP. At Friendship Rank 1, the key restore speed is 2,128. That is god-awful. Friendship Rank is not saving that. Friendship Rank 10 is not going to save that key restore speed. He just has the blue card right here. Hopefully his kit saves him. 60% to damage inflicted, minus 20% to damage received, plus 60 to key he needed the percentage. If it said plus 60% to key recovery, maybe it could have been salvageable. I don't think plus 60 is going to help that much. Applies the buff effect, restores 10% to damage received, up to 10% of own health. That's not that bad. Start of the turn, if there is a tag enemy or hybrid Saiyan, 20% to strike damage inflicted for 1 turn and minus 10% to damage received. It's decent. It's alright. And on attack, plus 15% to damage inflicted for 1 turn, plus 10 to key recovery. Again, he needs a lot more key recovery than that. Honestly, his key recovery is so low that you're just basically guaranteed to run this guy at the end of your own attack order. You know he's going to consistently be at the end of your own rotation. I feel like the key recovery, this should have been something else. It shouldn't have been key recovery that he's buffing here in this kit. After receiving an attack for self, 10% to damage inflicted cannot be cancelled, activates twice, and 10% to special move gauge activates twice. So depending on how RNG treats you, if he's getting attacked consistently, you can get up to 20% to gauge per fight. That's I don't really like him. I don't really like his kit that much. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. With that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video, for this guide video on Season 44. Let me know if I missed anything in the comment section down below. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding ToP, definitely leave them in there. If I don't answer them, I'm pretty sure someone else within the community will, right? Because at the end of the day, we are all on the journey. We all have the same goal, and that is to obtain that juicy 1000cc for ToP. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys do leave a like, a comment, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!